I don't normally agree with Suella Braverman, but in this particular case, I really do. In this case, she's called on the uh, person who heads the Metropolitan Police, Sir Mark Rowley, to resign, to establish that uh, it's wrong to be threatening people with arrest simply for looking Jewish. I think it's utterly, utterly inappropriate behaviour. And I think Suella Braverman is absolutely right to draw attention to this, as indeed is Oliver Dowden. No one should be told that their religion is provocative, nor that an innocent person should be threatened with arrest solely because of someone else's anticipated unreasonable reaction. That's the attitude of Chris Philp, the policing minister. And he has summoned Sir Mark Rowley to see him, expressing his deep concern. The Metropolitan Police has, of course, faced serious criticism over the pro-Palestinian marches, and I hope that the present government isn't going to leap on a bandwagon here and see this as an excuse to bully the people who are marching for Palestinian solidarity, in solidarity with the people of Gaza, because that's not the issue. But I have no doubt that there will be a certain conflation of the government's frustration with these marches anyway, and their shock at the policing incident involving Gideon Falter, who was threatened with arrest. He's right. He's quite right that when he's called for Sir Mark Rowley to go, he must resign or be removed by the Mayor of London or the Home Secretary. Absolutely. But at the same time, it's absolutely right that people should be free to protest and to march in solidarity with whomsoever they wish. I personally think that marches and strikes are a thing of the past. I think these methods of exhibiting solidarity no longer work in the present age of the internet, of social media. I think there might be better ways of drawing attention. You have to go back to the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century to see, why are people marching? Why are people striking? What do they hope to achieve? What they hope to achieve is to draw attention to their issues. Now, I'm not convinced that marching through the centre of London, or indeed having endless strikes, as people are doing in the railways, I'm not convinced that that's a way forward. I'm not convinced that that actually is any longer efficacious. The only thing it seems to do is cause problems for the people who, for example, use the railways, because the railway chiefs and the organisations have taken out insurance against this eventuality. They are covered. The government is paying them, so they're not harmed. Their livelihood is perfectly sound and secure, and they just have to sit this out. That's not the way forward. The way forward is to bring pressure to the businesses to deal with the problems that are caused. And in the same way, parading through the centre of London on Saturdays is not necessarily, and certainly has not been, effective in stopping the Gaza siege. So why continue doing it? The only way to stop the Gaza siege is to directly confront Mr. Netanyahu and his cabinet. Now, there are ways to do that, of course. Writing, emailing, and and appealing through social media. I think a social media campaign is significantly more effective than walking through the streets of London. In addition to that, those people who are walking through the streets of London, have they all written to their MPs? And I don't mean just send a form email or even send a form letter. Have they written personally to their MPs to express their concerns? Because if they haven't, then they should do so. Your local MP should know that this is a concern that interests you and that this is something that should be raised in Parliament. These are the vehicles for drawing attention to issues, and then you should look at the voting record of your MP. I think that will be more effective than these very limited marches, which are so heavily policed and so heavily controlled that I don't see that they can ever be that significant in drawing attention to a problem. The large numbers, when they began, yes, that was quite significant, but that has trailed off. The tractors the other day in Parliament Square, interesting. But again, is it going to change attitudes? So unless the march has something to really single it out as different, I don't think it's really drawing attention to the problem. And the Just Stop Oil stuff, same issue. Is it really drawing attention to the problem? Or is it just causing a nuisance to London and London drivers and the way London goes about its business? We have to rethink the whole nature of protest, because, among other things, the word protest is about making a noise. And the government really wants protests to be silent, controlled. That's not a protest. That's some sort of submission. I'm going on a submission to London tomorrow. No, come on. We have the tools to make our voices heard, and we're not using them because we're stuck in the 19th century with 19th century methodology. I'm not saying you don't have a right to march. March, parade, throw banners all over the place, scream slogans, but don't expect it to work. Because the government, in this country particularly, in Britain particularly, has produced systems to marginalise and emasculate that sort of protest. You need a different method which is suitable to the 21st century to draw attention to the problem and to get your message heard. But it's not going to be heard doing the same things that people did 100 years ago.